now coast to coast here on a Wednesday, a golf Wednesday on C2C. Carver High in for Scotty. Great to have you with us on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Of course, every week here on a golf Wednesday, we give you the outrights, the placements, the first round leader bombs, everything. Usually the Prime Minister out on assignment this week. So we bring in our other golf guru who usually does the live with me. Brady Kannon steps up and in. Brady, good to see you as always, my man. And listen, Brady on fire with the PGA as well, because I know Brady had Hideki Matsuyama last week in that first leg of the playoff at the St. Jude. Brady, great to see you, and congrats on going to the window with Hideki.
Hey, thank you very much, Mike. Big shoes to fill here with filling in for Cam Stewart, but on a golf Wednesday. Yeah, I'm glad to just be here and be alive, Michael. I mean, sweating that Hideki Matsuyama ticket last week was something. I mean, he had a 5-shot lead with 7 to play. And, oh, my gosh, then it was almost gone in a wink of an eye. He went 4 over par the next 4 holes. And thankfully, Victor Hovland missed a couple of putts down the stretch, and Hideki nails that bomb at 17, and we got home. But they're never easy, are they?
They're never easy, Brady. And it's funny because we all do this, and we all spend Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday just kind of looking at numbers or looking at angles and looking at all these things. And one of the biggest things that was thrown around for 3 days last week was that Hideki doesn't have his caddy. He doesn't have his coach. Yeah. They all got they got robbed in London, had to go back to Japan to get their passports. Oh, you can't play Hideki this week. He's so tight. He's close with everyone. He goes out and wins, Brady. So that's just kind of how sometimes all these things that we obsess over when we're trying to get ready for the golf, you just got to throw them out the window sometimes. It's funny.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And I thought he was a great fit for the golf course. One of the heaviest statistics I leaned on last week was scrambling. You know, Hideki's one of the best in the world. Over the last 24 rounds coming in, he was second in that field in scrambling. And I love the way the course was similar to what we saw Le Golf National in Paris, where you had a lot of water, relatively narrow fairways, and you really kind of had to work your ball around and avoid that water hazard that was everywhere in Paris, and very similar at TPC Southwind in Memphis, where you had, I think, 11 holes where water came into play. And Hideki obviously was able to negotiate it in Paris, getting the bronze medal. And he basically just replicated the same formula off the tee. And he got red, absolutely scorching hot with the putter for the first 3 days. And you know what that usually means. You cool off on the final day. So I was worried, but he was able to make a couple when it counted and get us home.
And now he's going to sit in some very cushy position heading out to Castle Pines for the BMW. Hideki, don't got to worry about much. He'll be at Eastlake next week in Atlanta for the Tour Championship. Let's talk about this course, Brady, because I like when we get a place that we don't normally see. I think it makes it fun. It makes it interesting. I love the same old places, but a course that's been over 20 years since it's been played on the PGA Tour. 48 out of the 50 guys in the field have never played a competitive round at this place. So I think it makes it very intriguing. We know who's going to be the chalk at the top, and that's going to be Scotty Scheffler, of course, Xander Schauffele. Rory gets bumped down a little bit after a very tough weekend for him in Memphis. Tell me a little bit about Castle Pines. Very long, Brady.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be the longest PGA Tour course ever at over 8,100 yards. Now, you figure in the altitude, they're playing at about 6,300 feet, and the course is probably going to adjust to about 7,400 yards, the way it plays. And a par 72, that's actually pretty standard length. But you go back to the International, you mentioned it, started in 1986. I used to love to watch this tour event. You know, you get to see the mountains and the streams and golf in Colorado, which we don't always see, and seeing these players just launch the ball at elevation. So, yeah, I'm absolutely excited to be back here. I think total driving will be a big factor this week, Mike, because it's going to take these guys a minute to adjust to that elevation. And how do they kind of rein in their ball off the tee, maintaining the accuracy, yet trying to take advantage of that thin air and get it out there as far as they can as well. So I think total driving is going to be key. You're going to have a lot of approach shots from 200 yards or better, and it's going to be a different club than you're used to hitting from 200 yards or better when we're down at sea level. And I think you're going to miss a lot of greens in regulation. So once again, like we talked about with Hideki, I think scrambling will be important once again this week. And I think they're going to make some scores, Mike. One local odds maker out here at the Westgate Superbook, he made the under-over proposition for a winning score of 22 and a half under par. So he is expecting some birdies here at Castle Pines. And I don't disagree necessarily. If you can find some fairways and get your approach game on, you're going to make some scores here this week.
All right, Brady, give it to me. The outrights for you this week in Colorado.
Well, first of all, I'm right there with you. I didn't play it, but I absolutely agree with your Morikawa play. I was on him last week. I like to go on this guy when driving accuracy, I feel, is more of a factor. And he's been so close. I said basically the same thing that you just said. It would be wild if we went through this entire year without Morikawa winning. He's been so close. So I'm rooting for you. We do land on the same guy in Justin Thomas. I got him at like 52-1. Nice. Isn't that amazing? 50 players in the field and Justin Thomas is 52-1. That's crazy, but it just tells you where his game has gone the last couple of years. But we've started to see it turn around. A couple things I looked at this week were how have guys done when playing at elevation and how have they done on Jack Nicklaus designs? Well, Justin Thomas has done tremendous at the Memorial. He's got a number of top 10 finishes there, top 15 finishes at the Memorial. And then also when they played that Workday Charity Open, remember when they went back-to-back weeks at Muirfield Village in 2020, Thomas lost in a playoff actually to who? Your guy, Colin Morikawa. And he also finished runner-up at Sherwood Country Club in Thousand Oaks, California, another Nicklaus design when they played the Zozo there in 2020. So he's got the Nicklaus chops. And at the WGC Mexico, when they used to play there at elevation, they played that tournament for 4 years at Chapultepec. And Thomas was a machine there. Every year, all 4 years, he finished top 10, and he was runner-up 1 year as well. So, you know, it just makes sense from those two angles. And I said, okay, 52, let's try it with JT and see if he can recreate what he's done in the past at elevation and at Nicklaus Design golf courses. And then, like you said, I went to a big dog. I went with Rory McIlroy. Okay, there's 50 guys in the field, and let's be realistic. Let's say 30 of them have a realistic chance to win, right? So Rory McIlroy at 16-1 in a field of 30, basically, I thought that was a pretty good price. I think we're getting a little bit of value because he finished second to last week in Memphis. I talked about total driving. There's nobody better. He's second on the PGA Tour in total driving is Rory McIlroy. There's reports that he's just been blistering the golf ball out there. He might hit it 400 yards one time this week. If he can find the fairways, he's going to be tough to beat. And then I went a little deeper at 25-1 to another guy that just mashes the ball off the tee, long and straight. Number 3 on tour in total driving, Ludwig Åberg. Also great on approach. You know, I just think, again, a fit for this golf course. And I think we may have gotten some value on his price as well with him finishing 40th last week. So I was a little surprised to see him as high as 25. Now he's creeped down a little bit. I've seen him closer to 20, 21-1. I thought 25 was a tick too high. And then I went with Mr. Red Hot, Billy Horschel. Has 3 top 10 finishes in a row, comes off of the runner-up at the Open Championship, finished 8th at Valhalla earlier this year, another Nicklaus design, has won at Muirfield Village before the Memorial Tournament, a Nicklaus design, and has won at Elevation. The last time the BMW Championship was in Colorado, 2014, 17 miles away at Cherry Hills. Who was your winner? Billy Horschel. And he went on to win the FedEx Cup that year. So give me McIlroy, Åberg, Horschel, and JT for a 4-pack.
I think you're absolutely right, Brady. You're getting 2 guys there at this, really 3 if you count JT. You're right. That's a discounted price with only 50 guys in the field. But Rory's been coming off between 5 and 10, and you're getting him at 16. Ludwig's been between 15 and 20, and you're getting him at 25. That's nice. Quickly, Brady, here's what I got for placements. I'm with you on Rory. He's bouncing back this week. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder after how bad he played. I'll play him T5 at 210. Fleetwood, Finau, and Sepp Straka, all top 10s for me. These are guys that are right around that 30 number. Got to make sure that they're playing at Eastlake next week. And Nick Dunlap and Eric Cole, for me, riding a little hot wave, guys who are between 30 and 50, Brady, that really need to play well. They might not do enough to get there, but I think they'll play well again this weekend and set themselves up for a chance on Sunday. First round leaders, we hit Chris Kirk last week at 90-1. Cantlay, Fleetwood, Rye, Zalatoris, Sepp, and Cole. We like guys who are either fast starters or played well on Sunday, and they're coming into this event. Brady, there it is. The Golf Wednesday picks, baby. I'm glad you were with me.
Go Nick Dunlap, man. I know he's taken some sharp action to finish top 20 here in Las Vegas at Circa.